obviously we're talking about the new album, which is coming out in a couple of weeks' time on the 7th of July.
Yep.
Coming out on the Rough Trade label. Is this the first release on Rough Trade for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We've just started working with them, and so it's very exciting. Yeah, new times.
And how did that come about?
Not sure exactly, but they somehow heard the music, and then sort of got in touch, and we sort of met up and liked each other, and came from that really. Just a lucky encounter.
Okay, brilliant. Well, you are based in Paris. Obviously, you've been living there for a few years now.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years, and you're still enjoying it?
Yeah, more than ever. It's really great here.
Yeah, but you get to come here a lot, obviously, and this is where you recorded the album in Bristol.
That's right.
Lovely Bristol, which is where I was brought up, actually.
Oh,
So,
where did you live?
In the sort of Clifton, Hot Wells area.
Very nice.
Yeah. So you went into a studio in Bristol, and you went in and recorded the album with John Parish.
That's right. Yeah.
And he is PJ Harvey's sort of side man, isn't he?
Yeah, he works a lot with her.
Yeah.
On her projects. Yeah.
So how did that come about, that relationship?
Well, I first met him when I was living in Bristol. I think maybe I opened for a show he was doing, or he saw me play, or both. So we met through Jesse. Jesse's my husband, and Jesse used to play in John Parish's band for the album he made that's called How Animals Move.
Yeah.
And so met him that way, and then he suggested we make an album together. So the first record we made with him, and that was great, and we get on well, and he's an excellent guy. So we've been friends ever since then, and then I was really keen to work with him again on this album. It's been sort of 10 years now, I think, since the first album, and it's always nice to sort of go back and work with people who you know that you enjoy being in a room with.
Okay, and Aaron Desmos involved as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people involved. I think he's the one that people have chosen to mention.
Well,
because he's possibly a little bit more well known than everyone else. But
he
was great because he was kind of up for the correspondence course style collaborating. So we sent him mixes, and then he played stuff on and sent them back, and then we'd sort of fiddle around with it and then send him other things. So that was quite nice, the sort of the ping pong, transatlantic ping pong session.
Yeah.
But there's also people like Rachel Dad. She sort of sings on it loads, which I'm really pleased about, because we used to be in a band together, and it's nice to be able to sing with her again and have her on stuff. And there's it was just really nice to be in Bristol, because it meant that we could sort of hoik in all of our pals who are in projects and do music that we really love.
And Rosie Plain being one of those?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she's in the band anyway, so she was definitely there. She was going to be there, whatever. But yeah, it's just it was really great to have the whole band present for the recording session this time, because it wasn't really possible with the last album.
So apart from what you've just mentioned about having more band members and musicians involved in this record compared to the last one, which was called Bashed Out, what else was different about this album in terms of the recording process, but also in terms of the content? Is there anything that you can put your finger on that's a bit different?
Can I put my finger on? I mean, I don't know. Probably, I mean, for me, there are lots of things different, but then for other people, they might just think it's exactly the same, which is fine. They're allowed to think that. But so in terms of recording, let me first try and answer that bit. Yeah, so the whole band was involved, and it was a solid 2 weeks in the studio of all day, every day, going and working on the album, which was great, because the last one was kind of happened in 2 recording clumps over the space of about 2 years, with us sort of working on it in between the 2 clumps. But because geographical reasons, it was mainly recorded in Aaron's garage in Brooklyn. It was just me that went over to do it with him and the musicians that he had around at that time. So that was a different approach then. The album before then was just me and Jesse recording it in our flat and trolleying it around to all of our friends in different towns, getting them to add bits on. So that was more labour intensive. But yeah, it's just the fact that this one, the songs were written, and we went into the studio for a solid 2 weeks and just did what we could. Was really nice, sort of focused and clear.
Yeah.
Felt good. And then in terms of subject matter and writing, this one I think talks a lot about stories and truth and the interpretation of stories and truth, and how our interpretation and vision on things changes with time and with different experiences and stuff like that. Holding people accountable for their actions, but also remembering that everyone's human and you have to sort of help each other get through the tangly times.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
The name of the album is Moonshine Freeze.
Yes.
And obviously when I initially heard that, I was thinking either illicit alcohol or the moon shining on the water or something like that. But then I read it's based on some kind of nursery rhyme, isn't it? Some kind of children's...
Well, kind of. But for me it is definitely to do with the moon rather than...
alcohol.
But to be honest, I wonder if the nursery rhyme isn't referring to the alcohol, because nursery rhymes usually refer to sort of adult stuff, don't they? I mean, it's an American rhyme that I learnt from an American friend of mine, and at the end of it, they just go, moonshine, 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 freeze. I wonder if it's to do with, like, getting poisoning or something from sort of dodgily made alcohol, who knows? Yeah. But I was really drawn to the phrase, the sound, the sensation of saying the phrase moonshine freeze, and also the sound of the sort of vowels. I just loved it, and I loved the freeze idea, just everyone stopping, moving.
Well, it's a beautiful song, I have to say, and the album's really nice, really fantastic. I love the album from beginning to end. Like I love all your music, Kate, so yeah, excellent work again. I saw you play at part of the Great Escape a few weeks ago. You were in Brighton, weren't you, doing a gig at the St Mary's Church?
Yeah.
And I think that was your first gig for quite some time, and you had the full band with you.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that experience like?
Well, it was great. It's always fun to play in a church. It's always a little bit challenging sound-wise as well, but then I think it's important to have the challenging sound-wise gigs, because then you know, it's like ankle weight training. Then you get in a normal room and you think, okay, we're a bit better than we were before.
Yeah.
But but it was great. It's a pleasure to play in huge historical rooms.
Yeah.
And it's nice to play at the Great Escape in a setting that isn't a pub of people shouting.
Yeah.
So that was a real pleasure. And it had been so long since we'd all played together as a band. It just felt really good to be playing with everyone again. It's been a while.
And one of the songs, you got Marcus on stage from the Willkommen Collective. Willkommen Collective, if I get that right. And he's Brighton based. Obviously, I think he's still Brighton based.
Yeah, he's still Brighton based. He's putting us on when we come and play in September.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because I think you mentioned that on stage, didn't you? So that's the next time you're in Brighton for the gig in September.
It is. Although actually, there's another time I'll be in Brighton. I'm doing a little record shop showcase at Residence.
Okay. What date is that on?
It will be July the 7th. Oh wow, the day that the day of your out.
Yeah, excellent. Just you or the band, or some version of the band?
I think it'll be just me, but there might be a few band members that are up for a trip to Brighton. So yeah, logistics to be ironed out, but I'll definitely be there.
People are always up for a trip to Brighton, are they not?
Yeah, exactly. Mad,
especially at this time of the year.
Yeah.
So on the tour itself, will you have a full band with you?
In September, wherever possible, yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of syncing up everyone's calendars and transport. But for a few of the shows, yes. Like when we play in London, definitely everyone will be there. And there's a few other shows in the UK that they will be. But it just, again, it depends on who's available and how we can get everyone there. Lucky dip, basically.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks very much, Kate, for taking the time.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
And the album's out on the 7th of July, Moonshine Freeze, and we look forward to seeing you in Brighton for the in-store and then the gig in September.